particularly if you're a comedian. If people get offended, good. That's the point. Good people of the internet, I don't want to freak everybody out, but Dave Chappelle must be stopped. Why? Because I'm a delicate little flower, and my delicate little sensibilities have been hurt by the mean jokes that he made on stage. Somebody help me now. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get stuck into this video, my new podcast, The Butterfield Effect, is #1 on the podcast app and the #1 comedy podcast in Australia right now. And our first episode is being released this Thursday. So if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't got around it yet, if you haven't gone into iTunes or Spotify or anywhere else, wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribed and left a 5-star review, you've absolutely lost your mind. You need to do that absolutely immediately. The link is down below. When it comes to comedy and media, this is all that anybody has been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Dave Chappelle released his comedy special on Netflix, Sticks and Stones, just 2 weeks ago. Now, the initial reaction was quite normal. People were enjoying it. There was a bit of trending going on Twitter. And then, all of a sudden, some people started freaking the fuck out. And can I just say, I think Dave Chappelle is one of the greatest comedians of all time, and I'm sure he doesn't give a shit about any of this. I decided to wait and see the reactions from people before I jumped into this video, because I really wanted to see if anyone came out with some sensible ideas from the people who you would normally assume have fucking ridiculous ideas. But that didn't happen. So I thought to myself, well, I better jump in here. And I'm sure Dave doesn't give a fuck. He just made $20 million. Why would he give a fuck what any of these people think? But I digress. The comedy special itself, Sticks and Stones, I thought was great. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was world-breaking or the most amazing special ever. It was great. There was some very well-crafted jokes in that special itself, and there was one in particular about transgender people, which had the outrage community up in arms. And the outrage community was led by the most perfect people in the world, the greatest journalists that this side of the Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen, the people at Vice. And they must have come in their pants when they saw this special, because they came out with this headline: "You can definitely skip Dave Chappelle's new Netflix special, Sticks and Stones." Now, this article is absolutely dog shit. And I would just like to point out that there is not just Vice, there's other people as well. BuzzFeed come out with this: Dave Chappelle doesn't need to punch down. Now, before I go on with anything else, let's just remember why these websites exist. They paint themselves as journalists. They paint themselves as news sites, but what they really are ClickFunnels. So when you go onto this website, when you're outraged by the article that they're doing, when you think that, oh my God, I can't believe a journalist has actually written this shit, you go onto their website, you click on it, you read the article, or at least you look at it a little bit, and all these little ads start popping up. That is their business plan. They're not only pissing people off, but they're also giving people ideas. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of people out there that actually think what BuzzFeed, what Vice, what in Australia, Junkie, what all these websites that people look at and shake their head and go, are you fucking serious? There are people out there that actually believe what they're saying. But in reality, it's smoke and mirrors. They're just trying to get you to click on their website so you see their ads and they make money. Vice's headline was great, but BuzzFeed was my favorite because its subheading was this, and I'll do it in the best soy boy voice possible. In his occasionally funny new Netflix special, Dave Chappelle continues to make anti-trans and victim-blaming jokes. Why can't he strive to be more thoughtful? Okay, I understand what they're saying. They're saying that Dave Chappelle was mean to trans people and people who were victims of things. And I get why they want him to be more thoughtful. But I think they're forgetting one thing. That he's a fucking comedian, you stupid fucking cunts. This whole idea of never punching down is bullshit. The best comedians of all time, Richard Pryor, punch the fuck down. Even Joan Rivers, punch the fuck down. Okay? All these people, because that's the great thing about comedy, is you can make jokes about absolutely anything. And this idea of only punching up is, it's in the Australian comedy industry and it is rife. There are a lot of Australian comedians coming through and the older guys who look down upon people who make offensive jokes. And I'm not talking about every Australian comedian. There are really good ones here in this country that maybe you haven't even heard of. But there are a lot of absolute fuckwits that get around. They hate my guts and fuck them to the moon. I couldn't give a shit, all right? These people will never, ever succeed in that field because they're not being true to themselves. There's even people pretending to be minorities. There's this one dude that gets around who pretends to be gay and he gets more gigs. That's the type of people we're dealing with here. Fucking crazy motherfuckers. Be more thoughtful. How about you suck my dick, BuzzFeed? Do whatever the fuck you want. If it makes people laugh, then you have done your job. End of fucking story. Side note, I know this is a really weird sort of setup that I've got here, but I thought I'd just try something different. This is the fuck you to the moon table. Don't worry, my normal setup and my normal background will be back probably tomorrow. But this is the fuck you to the moon table. So BuzzFeed, Vice, and everyone who says you can't punch down in comedy, fuck you to the moon. But the thing that got me about this whole scandal with Dave Chappelle, everyone was blowing up about it. Well, not everyone. The vocal minority was blowing up. Most of us were just sitting at home going, yeah, that was a good special. It wasn't bad. Well done, Dave. Hope you enjoy your $20 fucking million. But these people who are forced to write new articles, sensational articles, and they all have to be Me Too'd and all that type of fucking shit, they are forced to do this. They're forced to come out fighting about shit that no one cares about, honestly. But the thing that really got me about all this was from Rotten Tomatoes. Now, Rotten Tomatoes is a movie rating site. So critics go on there and they give movies ratings. Now, for the longest time, I've basically ignored the critics' response to movies and just looked at the audience response. I found that they are much more reliable. As you can see here, Hannah Gadsby, I think you know where I'm going with this, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. 100%. There's very few of the greatest movies of all time that have 100%, and let alone Nanette. And then you look at the audience score, 29%. Do you see the difference there? That is a frightening disparity to where the critics are emotionally and when it comes to content and where the people are. But then you have a look at Dave Chappelle's special, and right here, I'm looking at it right now, it has 15 critics ratings. The other day it was at 0 and an audience score of 99%. There's the difference between Nanette, that overall the vast majority of comedy fans, people who enjoy humor, fucking hate, and Dave Chappelle's, who the vast majority of comedy fans fucking love. This is where we're at the moment. Comedy is under threat. And it's under threat by these people who make these big decisions. Comedy will always be available to us who seek it out. But you're going to start seeing people like Dave Chappelle, or the next Dave Chappelle perhaps, not getting that Netflix deal because they're worried about the backlash. And that's frightening. Thankfully, this has made Dave more powerful, and I can't wait to see his next creation. But this is another notch in the long line of people who these crazy fucking progressive interesting human beings have tried to cancel. Think about Louis C.K. He jacked off in front of people. He asked them, and now his career is in tatters. Thankfully, he's coming back, but people are still questioning whether or not he should be allowed to come back. Of course he can come back. He's just jacking off. Aziz Ansari, and he begged a woman for a blowjob on a date, and then the next day, after giving said blowjob, she decided that she regretted it, and then he was Me Too'd, and now people are still questioning whether or not he should be allowed back. What the fuck are you talking about? Roseanne Barr, who is obviously severely mentally ill, she has even said that herself, came out and tweeted something that was taken out of context. And if you listen to the Joe Rogan Experience episode with Roseanne Barr, you can sort of understand where she was coming from. She was cancelled, the biggest show on television in America, gone. Cancelled. Kevin Hart, naughty word at the Oscars, gone. James Gunn, fucking creepy jokes, gone. Liam Neeson said he nearly committed a hate crime, but didn't. And they tried desperately to have him cancelled. This is cancel culture, and it is a fucking cancer upon our community. Cancel culture must be destroyed. People are not being allowed to make mistakes. Even though I don't think Dave Chappelle made a mistake, people who do make mistakes are for some reason not being allowed the proper recourse to even apologize for it. People can fuck up and say, oh, I'm sorry about that. And then the media just goes, no, not allowing it. Not happening, mate. But it doesn't go both ways. Look at Cardi B. She joked about robbing dudes and drugging them, and no one gave a shit. Jessie Smollett lied about a hate crime. No one gave a shit. People are allowed to make mistakes. People are allowed to apologize for those mistakes. Comedians can make jokes. Dave Chappelle's not a fucking prime minister. If he's a prime minister and he starts talking shit, okay, fair enough. Crack the shits, whatever. People are allowed to make mistakes, make jokes, all that type of shit. And you shouldn't lose your job. You shouldn't lose your career. And you shouldn't lose your family over that shit. That just shouldn't fucking happen. Particularly if you're a comedian. If people get offended, good. That's the point. I'm ringing the bell because this is the end of the video. I don't know why I bought that bell, but fuck it, I did. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just finish by saying this, okay? I'll end on this. People want Dave Chappelle cancelled, but people still listen to Michael Come Over to My Playground at Neverland Jackson's music. And Rolf Harris, this is hilarious. Rolf Harris, who got in a lot of trouble for fiddling with little kids. He is still on Spotify making money. All right? Okay? So can we deal with those ones and then worry about hilarious trans jokes? Fuck that shit. Ladies and gentlemen, good motherfucker. I'm going to ring that bell one more time for no reason. Go and subscribe. Ring the bell because we're about to hit 1 million. We are nearly there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a good day today. I hope you have a good day tomorrow. And we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Toodaloo, au revoir, bye.